Hey everyone, welcome to the Huddle. It's great to see you, and today we have a special Veterans Day edition. Since 2013, we have hired nearly 400,000 veterans and military spouses to join our team. And the reason is, it is the right thing to do, and it makes us a better company, but we find that, in so many cases, veterans are just hardworking, capable, inspiring associates, and some of the most disciplined people you'll ever meet. I've told the story a few times, but I managed a store in Jacksonville, North Carolina, about 1 mile north of the Camp Lejeune Marine Corps base, where there were 67,000 young Marines and their families who served at a really important time in our country's history. I was there for 9/11, and I just remember what a difference they made, not only at Walmart, but when those events happened, how they all just quickly ran to the base and supported each other as the country went to war, and it made a big impact on me. And I still have friends from that time, and we'll never forget what that day was like and what the months after were like. But I've got two special guests here. I'm so excited to introduce Rhonda Jeter and Glenn Garay. They are both associates. You can tell by their the spark and the name badge. But maybe Glenn, we'll start with you. You had a long career in the Air Force. So I'd love for you to talk about how you got there, how long you were in the Air Force, what you did, and the difference it made in your life.
Well, happy to be here. Thank you very much. Well, I think it all started with my parents. I'm actually a first-generation American. My parents came to the U.S. In the early 1960s to escape the Colombian Civil War. And, they lived the American dream. They came with almost nothing. And today they're retired in South Florida. Love their local Walmart, get groceries from there. But after that, I really wanted to, and it sounds hokey, I wanted to give back to the country that gave us so much. And it was a way to get an education and to give back. And so I wanted to make sure that American dream that my parents actually walked and I experienced was available for my 3 kids and their kids. And so part of that is to serve and keep our country strong. And so, applied to Boston University, got an ROTC scholarship, and that took me to 24 years in the Air Force. I had my family and I across 2 different continents, and I actually ended up serving over 5 different continents in 24 years. We moved about 10 times. And so at some point they were like, we're happy to just stop moving and settle down. And all that time, I was a communications and then a cyber operations officer. So I worked, supporting our country's, networks and defending them, and that became my passion. And totally in love what I do, what I did then, and I'm doing very similar stuff for Walmart, and I love doing it here.
Well, you're part of the risk management team and the global tech team. And I'm just, wondering what got you into cybersecurity? We were joking a bit before we got on. You found something you love and you get paid for it. So there's a big message of that, by the way, for everyone who's listening. But what got you started, and when did you know that you loved it?
Well, my older cousin got me into technology, into computers. I'm going to date myself, but the Commodore 64 and the older computers like that, they were interesting. And so I got into technology, and then how does everything work? And so that took me into, enjoying technology. And then the security piece came later, as it's a cat and mouse game. Every time we secure something, they find a new way to come at us. And I enjoy, my piece of that, which is trying to, defend and keep them out.
It's a big game of strategy, and the work never ends. And I just want to say one more thing, and then I'm going to talk about Rhonda here in just a second. But our military programs within the company called Hiring Our Heroes, it's fellowship, and you were the first fellow hired in the tech department and the tech organization from the program. So could you just quickly talk about that program and then how long you've been here?
Absolutely. It's a great program. And like you said, I was the first one. Walmart's been doing the program for about 2 years. Started out in the DCs, and now Sam's and the InfoSec department within Global Tech did it. And it's a 12-week program for people who are either separating or retiring from the military. It allows you to intern basically with a private company. And I, ever since I was a junior captain, I thought I'd like to go work in industry. Um, and this program gave me an opportunity to come and sit down and figure out, is my perception of what the private sector is like based on reality and fact, or is it just I have this complete misunderstanding? And so I came in, and I loved the work that the decision science team was doing in quantifying risk across global tech. And then I also, it gave me a chance to understand the culture, see the culture of the company. And I frankly really liked what I saw. In some ways, it has a very similar culture to the military, associates looking out for each other, associates, and you can hear the stories about how stores have the latitude to go help, in a crisis, in an emergency kind of thing. And that latitude comes from the culture and understanding that leaders support that. And so that kind of resonated. I remember seeing your 9/11, I think it was article that came out and talked about what that store did to mobilize. And so that sort of stuff really speaks to me and says, because to me, it's not just about the work, but the culture of the company that really, I enjoyed getting that peek into it. And I came in early May as a military fellow, and I was happy that they gave me an offer, and I became a full-time associate 1 September of this year. So just really not, still getting my feet wet, but loving every minute of it.
Well, that's great. We're glad you joined. I've been at the company and in retail for 28 years, and I think I'm still getting my feet wet. Everything changes every day, and that's what makes it exciting. You're always learning something. And Rhonda, let's talk to you about you for just a second. You've been in the company a little longer, but recently promoted to store manager in Longview, Texas, store 399. And why that's important is we've got about 4,700 stores, locations around the country. So 399 means it's been there for a long time. I'm sure you got a great team you're working with, but also a veteran of the Air Force. I'd love to ask you the same question. Tell us about your career in the Air Force and what you did and how it led to this.
I'd graduated high school and had played softball in college for about a year, and then started looking at even more in my future. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and so I went to and started talking to military recruiters and decided to join the Air Force. And I joined the Air Force back in 1998, and was in the Air Force for approximately a little over 10 years. And the first 4 years I was HR, did personnel. I ran commanders programs, did people programs in orderly rooms and in the squadrons. And then the last 6 years I was a military training instructor, and that is at Lackland Air Force Base, and that's your basic training. They come off in street clothes, and you train them from the time they hit the ground till the time they left and graduated. So I was able to do that for 6 years, and that was probably one of the best things I was able to do. And then when I'd gotten out of the military, I was getting ready. I was doing my prereqs for nursing school and going to school again. And then I was started overnight stocking at actually 399 across town, or 398 across town, and wound up being in that store and learning everything that I could learn, basically from being in the military, and just the team aspect of everything that I learned while being in the Air Force, working with teams, working towards one goal. I think that's really what's helped me thrive when I came into Walmart. And our core values are similar to the Walmart core values: integrity first, service for self, and excellence in all we do. That's similar to Sam Walton's, core values. And I think I've been able to just kind of transition from military into the retail, and using the skills that I learned while I was in the military to work with teams and reach goals and have a winning environment with those teams.
Right now, I've got to ask. I'm going to make an assumption, but your role as a trainer in the Air Force has to be similar in many ways to what you do here. I'm sure in the military, the experiences may be a bit more extreme than learning how to be a retailer, and probably people remember you differently depending on how those first few weeks when they got out of street clothes straight into the training. But just are there comparisons? I mean, did that help you? Does that experience really help you lead a store with hundreds of people every day?
It really does, because even being a basic training instructor, so there's we had lesson plans, and there's certain ways that they learn to do everything, but still listening to those trainees and teaching them and training them and getting their feedback. And that's one of the main things that I learned in the military too, was and just with Walmart, your associates come up with the best ideas. Like, they'll have way better ideas than I do. So listening to and working with them as a team to talk through problems, and working through change, and talking to those associates, working through that change and getting their ideas and their input. And it's very, very similar to what I did in the military.
Yeah, it's so true. Listening to those that are doing the work closest to the customer, that was something that our founder talked about decades ago. And just yesterday I was in a store, and we started by pulling the team together and had 10 associates, including what we call team leads, all together, and just listened to the way they were thinking about the holiday plan. And we wrote down several ideas that we can bring back and make changes. And, this whole idea that you both talked about servant leadership, you lead like an inverted pyramid, where the leader's on the bottom and the customers are at the top, and everything in the middle is our responsibility that falls on our shoulders. But as we honor Veterans Day today, one of the things that we can never forget are the families, the members of the military families, who are the support network that enable so many people, millions of people, to do what the two of you have done for the country. So, Rhonda, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that. And we need to think about it for associates as well. We all have support networks, family, friends, loved ones who are there when we need them to be, and we couldn't do what we do. I know I certainly couldn't do what I do without the support of my family, but I'd love to know your perspective on military families.
I think we all know our families are, one of the most important things in our lives. And military families they go through a whole lot of different things. Their spouses are gone for months at a time. They're separated a lot for different deployments, working long hours for exercises. You never know what your schedule is going to look like from day to day. So just that support system, which can happen, like you said, retail changes and customer demand changes. And so that having that support system, I know with my family, was able to help me, because I can come to work and not have to worry about what's going on at home. And so, we appreciate our associates, appreciating their family, because they can come in and do what they've got to do. And they've got, a lot on their shoulders to be able to get done and not have to worry about maybe some issues going on at the house, because they have that family support system to help them do that.
Yeah, exactly. Glenn, how about you? You talked about your parents and your 3 kids, but chance to give back and honor your parents, which I'm sure they're very, very proud of you for your service, not only in the Air Force, but here. What's it mean to you?
So military families certainly seem to be more resilient. They're asked to pick up and move, and sometimes, one state away, sometimes literally halfway around the world. And they plop you down, and you just go through that cycle every 2 to 4 years. And so your kids learn to adapt quickly. You learn to, as Rhonda was saying, you learn to form that support system very quickly, because everyone is in that same, on that same ride, in essence. And so but I've noticed you do form resilient spouses, and your kids, and the way they look at different things. And so it is a challenge. But it certainly has a lot of benefits to it as well. My kids have actually lived more than half their lives overseas in Europe, and it was just now are we teaching my 9-year-old, all the states of the U.S. he could name you most of the EU. Even though he was born in the great state of Texas, we basically moved right after he was born. So, but it's a great, unique life, I would say.
Yeah, it's a gift, definitely a gift to live abroad. The word I was thinking of is resilient, and being resilient. I do remember when I started in Jacksonville, North Carolina, there was just a different drive and work ethic than I'd seen. And it took me a few months to realize I was constantly asking people, are you in the Marine Corps or have you been? Because I couldn't tell apart if it was a family member or someone was in, but you could feel the Marine Corps drive and discipline was always present, which made the store a lot easier to run than others because people are just motivated to overcome. And perhaps what some think are a bad day, they would just think is Wednesday. It was just a different situation. But last thing I got, Glenn, you were recruited through the program we talked about, but you're also recruiting others. So I was wanting to know if you've recruited anybody else from the Air Force lately.
So I actually did recruit my old boss to work here at Walmart, and Dan just started on the 26th of October, and he actually joined our team in decision science. And so happy to have Dan on board, but I'm also part of the team I'm working with the military team and the Hiring Our Heroes lead within InfoSec to get more folks on board. And so we are hoping to most people don't necessarily see Walmart as a tech company, even though we do all these huge things and we're going through the omnichannel strategy to really mesh the online and store experience at Walmart, at Sam's. That requires a lot of cyber intelligence and cyber workforce. And so helping to get the word out that Walmart is a tech company, and it's doing some really, really cool things in that space. Most folks don't know about it. And so I'm just out there trying to say, hey, would you think about Walmart? And I get a lot of I've never thought of them before. And then I explain all what we're doing, and they're like, oh, that actually sounds pretty interesting. And so I'm hoping to get a couple more veterans onto the teams across the information security department.
Well, keep doing that and keep looking broadly, because everything from cybersecurity to logistics to healthcare, aviation, drive a truck, work at a store, manage a store. There are hundreds of things I'm about to leave out, but the breadth of what we do is pretty amazing, and it is a great place for people to join. Well, thanks for both of you for joining and taking the time with us on what is a very special day for the country. And it's a day that we honor those that have served and remember those that have served before us and those who have fallen for our country. Thanks for what you do, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. Rhonda, I'd love to come see you in the store, and Glenn, sometime when we can say hello in person, that'll be great. Thanks for what you're doing, and we'll talk to you all very soon.
Thank you very much.
You.